I'm Linda, 35, a single mom to Noah. And tonight my family taught me exactly where we stand. At my parents' anniversary dinner, my sister Chloe slid the bread basket to my kid and said, cold as marble, "We didn't order for him." My dad, Richard, smirked. "You should have packed a lunch." Noah stared at stale bread while their kids cut into $100 steaks. My chest went numb. I smiled, swallowed the burn, and said one word: noted. Ever been labeled the strong one, so your hurt doesn't count? How many cuts does it take before strength becomes silence? If it were you, right there, with your child, what would you do? Drop your take in the comments. Hit subscribe, because the next part? It gets uglier, much uglier. Line, I can't unhear. He's not our problem. I'm Linda. And here's the part nobody believes until they hear it out loud. The room was dim and expensive, the kind of place where the napkins feel like small blankets, and the forks are heavier than your wallet. Jazz hummed. Glasses clinked. My son Noah sat beside me in his navy blazer, the one I ironed twice because I wanted him to feel special. He traced a finger along the menu like he was reading a treasure map. Chicken tenders, fries, a Coke. Easy, safe. Childhood on a plate. Then Chloe, my sister, leaned over, slid the bread basket toward him like it was a handout, and said, voice chilled like a walk-in freezer, "We didn't order for him." She didn't even look at me. My dad, Richard, barely glanced up, smirked, and added, "You should have packed a lunch." The kind of line that lands like a slap and somehow makes you apologize for your own cheek burning. Noah stared at the stale bread like it might turn into dinner if he was very, very quiet. Do you know that feeling when your chest goes numb before your brain can pick a reaction? That was me, right then, frozen and boiling at the same time. I scanned the table like a crime scene. Chloe's boys had iPads and swagger, and a server who'd memorized their steak preferences. My mom adjusted her napkin, eyes glued to her water glass like it held the plot twist. I was the stable one again, the concrete everyone walked on to reach the pretty stuff. And in that moment, I could hear a sentence I've been fed since childhood. "You're the strong one, Linda. You don't need much." Funny how strength turns into permission for cruelty. Noah's shoulders sank, just a fraction, but I felt the weight of it like a boulder. He didn't cry. He never does. He catalogs, like me. We remember who looks away when it matters. I took a breath that tasted like pennies and humiliation, and smiled. Then I said one word that I knew they would underestimate. Noted. The server returned, pen ready, polite smile, a professional witness to family theater. "Are we ready to order?" The air felt thick, like the room had decided to take sides. Chairs scraped, forks paused. My father pretended to be busy sawing through a steak that hadn't arrived. Chloe checked her phone, bored queen energy. Mom blinked at the salt shaker like it might beg for mercy. I stood up. My chair made that scrape that hushes a room. "Actually," I said, calm like a cooled blade, "cancel anything that hasn't hit the kitchen. Whatever's already on the way, put it on my father's tab. It's his anniversary." Pin drop silence. The server's eyebrows climbed. Richard's jaw set. I didn't stop. "And for my son, ribeye, medium rare, truffle fries, and a Coke. Please make it quick." The server nodded and disappeared like a magician. Noah looked at me, eyes wide, trying to decide if he was allowed to feel proud yet. I broke a breadstick, handed him half. "Eat, baby, we're fine." Across the table, Chloe's husband whispered, "Was that really necessary?" I turned to him slowly. "Yes." He looked away first. Someone in the corner, the aunt who always sees, let out a quiet, happy chuckle. The room exhaled. Conversations restarted in fragments. But our table? Our table was a snow globe, tension suspended, dignity glittering as it fell. The check came later, heavy and inevitable. The server walked it to my dad like he was delivering a verdict. Richard's face flushed a precise shade of rage. He signed without speaking. He knew. We all knew. When I stood to leave, I took the framed photo I'd had restored for my parents. Sepia, softened edges, two hopeful faces who once promised to build a family. I placed it gently on the table. Happy anniversary." It landed like a eulogy. I held Noah's hand, and we walked past the host stand, past the jazz, past a bar full of strangers who didn't know they'd just witnessed a small revolution. Outside, the air snapped cold. Noah looked up at me, brave and serious, and said, "Mom, you weren't scared." I squeezed his hand. "No." I was done. If you've ever watched someone make your child small and felt your spine light up, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments. Hit like so this gets to the next parent who needs proof they're not crazy. Share it with the friend who keeps swallowing it to keep the peace. Because you and I both know, peace without respect is just silence with good manners. And here's the line I can't unhear, the poison that keeps me telling this story. He's not our problem. Oh, but he is mine. And I am his. That night, the problem ended. Here's the part where it gets uglier, because when you stop playing your assigned role, the director screams cut. The morning after the steakhouse, there was a knock. No text, no warning. My parents and Chloe on my porch like a storm front. Richard holding an envelope like a subpoena. My house smelled like coffee and laundry detergent and safety. Noah was on the couch pretending his Switch wasn't paused on the same screen for 10 minutes. Richard put the envelope on the counter. "That's last night's bill. You agreed to pay half." He said it like a sentence, not a question. I leaned on the counter, grounding myself in laminate and fury. I didn't agree to subsidize my son's humiliation. My mother's lips were white and thin. "You embarrassed us." People were watching. Chloe folded her arms, sunglasses still on because daylight looks different when you're allergic to accountability. "You looked unhinged, Linda. Everyone's talking about it." I laughed, soft and mean and tired. Crazy as a mother who watches her grandson get iced out and stays silent. Chloe flinched like I'd thrown water. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't check it. I had planned this moment more than I realized. The quiet part of me had stockpiled truth. "You want money?" I said, "Let's talk numbers." I pulled a folder from a kitchen drawer. Payments, transfers, Venmo receipts with emojis that age like milk. Rent I paid just this once. Utilities until she gets back on her feet. Christmas gifts that were family-wide. Another knock. This time the cavalry I'd called in. My Uncle Mark and Aunt Laura. They stepped in like witnesses called to testify. Mark nodded to me. "You good?" I breathed out. "Perfect!" Laura lifted the folder, scanned a page, and then looked right at my parents. "You came to collect from the daughter who's been carrying everyone? After what you did to Noah?" Mom snapped, "This is private." Mark folded his arms. "Then act like a family." I opened the envelope. $1,200, and at the bottom, in neat handwriting that felt like a taunt, "Pay your share, Linda." I pulled $600 from my wallet and laid it on top. "Here's half, not from guilt, from pettiness. I sleep better knowing you didn't get all of it." Chloe's mouth curled. "You see? Vindictive." I smiled. "No. Documented." Richard's face reddened. "Disrespectful." I met his eyes, unblinking. "I'm not disrespecting you. I'm refusing to disrespect myself." They left in a storm of muttering. I locked the door and leaned my forehead against the wood, shaking only once, long and quiet. That should have been the worst of it. It wasn't. 2 hours later, another knock. 2 women in calm clothes with calm eyes. Badges. "We're from Child Protective Services. We received a report." The world tilted. For a second, the hallway shrank and the walls leaned in. I'd scrubbed the counters, lined up Noah's books, straightened his bed. Not because we're messy, but because I knew the game we were playing. Scare the mother, shake the foundation, make her pay for stepping out of line. They were kind. They looked at the fridge covered in Noah's drawings, and the pantry with actual food, and the calendar with dentist appointments. They spoke to Noah, who showed them his favorite dinosaur card and the plant he named Spike. They asked me questions that were fair, and I answered with the steadiness of a woman who has been underestimated her entire life. At the door, one of them said quietly, "We can tell this was a misunderstanding. This happens. More than you'd think." I nodded, but inside, something had splintered deeper. The report was unfounded, but the intent was clear. That night, I opened a box from the garage, the one with old-school photos and brittle letters. I found my mother's handwriting from decades ago, a confession she never thought I'd read. "I don't think I'll ever bond with the second child. I'm too tired to try." The line blurred and sharpened and blurred again. There it was, the script, the role, the reason silence always felt like home to her and exile to me. I called Laura's friend, Karen, an attorney with a voice like a locked door. We drafted a cease and desist for harassment and false reporting. We attached receipts, messages, the unfounded CPS proof, and yes, that letter. I didn't want to, but I needed to. Pain becomes power when you're done apologizing for bleeding. A week later, their attorney fired back. Not an apology, not a conversation, an attempt at grandparent visitation rights, dressing control up as concern. Karen skimmed it and smiled a lawyer's smile. "They don't have a case, but we're going to make sure this stunt costs them. If you've ever had your sanity used as currency, press like so the algorithm tells someone else they're not alone. Drop a comment. What's the most outrageous thing a family member did when you stopped playing along? Share this if you know a mom who needs to hear that CPS knocking doesn't mean you're a failure. Sometimes it means you're finally a threat to the story they need to believe." And here's a line I can't forget, from a voicemail I didn't delete fast enough. "You brought this on yourself." No, I brought dinner. You brought war. If the steakhouse was the spark and the CPS knock was the smoke, the courtroom was where the fire met steel. Karen filed our response like she was stitching up a wound. Clean, precise, unflinching. We weren't shouting, we were showing. Receipts, the unfounded report. The pattern, Chloe, the emergency that never ended. Me, the solution that never mattered. Noah, the child who learned to shrink in expensive rooms. The judge read, asked a few questions that cut to the center. And then the sentence I didn't know I had been waiting my whole adult life to hear. Petition denied. Just like that, their leverage evaporated. Control without consent is just a tantrum with paperwork. When I told Noah, he looked at me with that old soul way he has and said, "So they can't bother us anymore?" "Not like that," I said. "Not anymore." I changed the locks that week, the click of the new deadbolt sounding like a graduation bell. I updated my will. Uncle Mark and Aunt Laura named as guardians if anything ever happened to me. It wasn't morbid, it was math. Choose the people who chose you back. Chloe's husband texted me 2 days later, a screenshot of a bank transfer for half the rent I'd covered that year. No apology, no context. Then another text, "I'm done with her, take care of yourself." I stared at it and felt nothing. Not triumph, not pity, just vacant space where I used to store other people's problems. I deleted the thread like sweeping crumbs from a table I no longer had to set. I ran into my mother a week later in the produce aisle beneath the cruel light that makes apples look honest. She looked smaller, older. She pretended to compare Gala and Fuji like fruit could arbitrate love. We stood 3 feet apart in a silence that used to be my job to fill. I walked past her. For the first time in my life, I did not stop to make her comfortable. There wasn't a scene. There was a choice. I chose the cart with Noah's snacks and my peace. At home, the quiet felt different. Not the brittle quiet of holding your breath, but the plush quiet of finally exhaling. Noah sprawled on the porch with a book, feet swinging off the step, the evening painting gold on his cheeks. "You seem lighter," he said. "I am," I answered. I'd cut a rope I didn't know I'd been dragging. A few weekends later, we drove north to Prescott, just the 2 of us and a car full of snacks. We set up a small camp by the lake, badly at first, then better. We roasted marshmallows and watched sparks drift up like tiny rebellions. The stars were louder than the city. Noah leaned against me. "This is what free feels like?" he asked. "This is what free feels like," I said. And I meant it in my bones. I won't romanticize it. There were moments I shook in the shower, replaying each line, each look, each pettiness. There were mornings I woke up and checked my phone for damage like it was weather. Trauma has a long echo, but the echo gets quieter when you refuse to shout back. I started doing small things that add up. Therapy appointments. I didn't cancel. A savings transfer labeled hours. A post-it on the fridge that reads, noted, action done. I said yes to a coffee with a decent man, and no to a favor that would have cost me peace. I taught Noah how to make eggs. He taught me to name clouds. People always ask, isn't it sad, cutting off family? Here's my answer, steady and true. It's sad to stay. It's sad to teach your child that love is the same as control. It's sad to wear strength like a muzzle. Walking away isn't heartless. It's honest. And sometimes honest looks like turning the lock and choosing the quiet. If you're listening to this and you've got that pit in your stomach because the scenes sound too familiar, like comment, share, not for me. For the second you later need proof, you can do hard things and survive the thunder that follows. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Tell me the line you can't unhear. Mine? He's not our problem. You know what, though? We are our problem. We are our solution. And our solution looks like a kid eating ribeye with a smile that says, my mom showed up. Here's the last shock line I'll give them, free of charge. We didn't order for him. And here's my answer, forever. I'm done eating what hurts me. I'm done paying for the privilege. I'm done confusing silence with peace. Subscribe if you want the rest of this story, the part with boundaries that didn't just hold, they healed. Because somewhere out there, another mom is staring at a breadbasket and a room full of people who think she won't move. If that's you, hear me, stand up, say one word, noted, then act. Here's where I land. I'm Linda, mom to Noah, and after all the noise, the steakhouse, the envelope, the knock on my door, I learned a simple, brutal truth. Peace without respect is just quiet abuse. The moment I said noted, I stopped auditioning for a family role that kept shrinking me. I chose boundaries that hold even when hands shake. I chose a table where my kid eats first. Do I still replay it at 2 a.m.? Yeah. Do I wonder if I overreacted? Sometimes. So tell me honestly, am I in the wrong? Or did I finally get it right? Here's my takeaway. Strength isn't swallowing the hurt, it's refusing to feed it. Documentation is love for your future self, and teaching a child what safe feels like matters more than making grown-ups comfortable. If this hit you in the chest, tap like so it reaches someone who needs it. Drop a comment. What line from your life you can't unhear? Share this with the friend who's tiptoeing around a breadbasket moment. And if you want the next chapter, the healing, the boundaries that actually heal, hit subscribe. We're done being polite about pain. We're building rooms where we belong. Together, okay?